I swear having autism and ADHD can be such a trip sometimes because although there's a lot of overlapping similarities of characteristics, symptoms, and experiences, there's also a lot of contradictions as well. And I think that part could be really confusing for some people to experience. Besides the obvious of why that can be difficult to deal with because it's more difficult to get a diagnosis when you have those contradictory characteristics, it could also be difficult to deal with in your personal life. It's harder to find ways to support yourself when you feel like there's always a battle going on with what you want versus what you need, and certain needs contradicts each other or changes up on you, and you don't feel like you could quite pin it down. The stereotype behind being autistic is that you have very rigid routines that you have to adhere to at all costs. On the other hand, a stereotype of having ADHD is not being able to stick to any sort of routine at all. So what happens when you have both? Well, for me, what this looks like is I'm very particular about my routines. I'm actually really good at building routines and being able to fine tune all of these little things in order to suit myself, my lifestyle, my needs better. In that sense, I think it's very doable for me to start routines, adhere to it, and in many ways, I really do look for some sort of stability to rely on a day-to-day basis. But on the other hand, I've noticed that once I've established a routine for a certain amount of time and I've stuck to it for a certain amount of time, very quickly I start to get stressed out by the routine rather than feeling comforted by it. And so what I've noticed is that there's this very, very specific window. It's so small and so specific where my ADHD and my autism synthesizes for a moment. The synthesis comes in the beginning parts of something for me, where the motivation of the ADHD gets me to throw myself into something new. And the autistic part of me is constantly trying to find stability and understanding in that experience. But the moment I leave that window is usually when the autistic part of me has learned everything and is trying to find stability in it. That's the part where the ADHD part of me gets really, really pressured by, because the ADHD part of me is like, why are you putting roots down here? I don't want to be here. I don't want to stay here. I don't want to commit to this. I don't want expectations to form here because I don't know where I'm going to be at mentally or energetically tomorrow. I don't know if I want to do something different. And I want the freedom to explore those parts of me if it does come up. And then the autistic part of me is like, no, but I like it here. I like that I've spent all this time learning this thing and I'm finally getting the hang of it. Let's stay here. Let's grow roots here. You know what I'm saying? Come on, you guys. Those of you with AuDHD, do you relate to this at all? So another weird AuDHD trait that I have is if I really like this one specific soap that I bought or this one specific lotion that I bought, I'll buy the bottle and I'll use it every single day, but as soon as the bottle gets down to the last few drops, for some reason, I'll stop using it altogether. It's so weird. It's almost like I get stuck. And so what ends up happening is I'll have a bunch of things that's almost fully used up, but not quite, all around my house. Whether it's a drink that has one sip left, or whether that's a bottle of lotion that has a few pumps left, or whether that's a hair product that has a few sprays left, or whether that's a makeup product that has just a little bit left. Then there's like this pressure of if I run out of this thing, I have to go get it again, but I don't know if I'll be able to. And then if I am not able to, I don't know if I can live without it. So it's almost like I'm keeping that little bit for a rainy day in a weird way. I don't know, you guys, like this is just how I work. Okay, so this next contradictory AuDHD trait is kind of similar to the first one, but instead of it being applied to routines, it more so applies to people, culture, sociology, that type of topic. And it's when I have this very deep need to immerse myself in a new environment with new people, learn about them, learn about the culture, learn the ins and outs of everything. But once I've learned everything about it, once I've been fully immersed, I find myself wanting to leave. I'm the type of person where I would talk to someone that no one else talked to, or know something about someone that no one else knew. So, for example, everyone at this jiu-jitsu gym knew each other for years. And even though I was only there for 2 years, I knew everyone's zodiac sign. I knew all of these random facts about them because I wanted to ask all these questions, and I was so curious, and I would stay after class to get to know everyone equally. As an autistic person, it's more easy to socialize when you're in a very specific role. So when you're new, you're kind of that person that's learning, that's green in a sense, and everyone is more easygoing with you, and they're more inclined to take you under their wing, teach you new things, blah, blah, blah. There's just more capacity for you to not know exactly what to say or do. And so that sort of role is what I feel comfortable in, just being a person that's always wanting to learn and always wanting to understand more. What's so interesting is that at some point, I start to feel pressured by becoming too familiar with that environment and with that social circle. I start to feel like there's expectations that form, expectations towards how I'm supposed to be versus expectations towards certain patterns I've memorized of other people. So the ADHD part of me really likes the novelty of hobbies and socializing, but the autistic part of me ends up feeling stressed out that I'm not interpreting things right, I'm not responding appropriately, and then I get to a point where I feel restricted by that social circle, and I feel the need to leave it because it's easier to get by socially when you're the new person in an environment and no one expects anything from you than it is to be in an environment consistently, in a community consistently, and then all of a sudden people think they know who you are and they have certain expectations of you. But all of this to say, these are just some of my contradictory AuDHD traits that may not make sense on the surface, may not make sense when you're experiencing it, but that doesn't mean that this is necessarily bad. It just means that you have to be so aware that you are this person and learn how to integrate that healthily, successfully into your life, and just have a good relationship with this aspect of yourself. Let me know if you have AuDHD, what are some of your contradictory traits that you have observed in yourself, and how do you feel about it? How have you tried to integrate this part of yourself into your life? Have you found anything that works for you? I think it's always good to talk about our experiences because it's just, one, validating, but also you might have found a little hack that other AuDHD people haven't quite found yet, and they could go give that a try. Join the conversation, share your experiences. You are welcomed in this community. Make sure you guys take some time to regulate yourselves today, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.